welcome listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. We broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation. And also you can catch the podcast on drlesliephillips.com. And we live stream on our Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and on my YouTube channel.
Yes.
So every week we have a different subject that we talk about. And tonight's subject...
I want to say.
Okay, sure.
I want to introduce it. Tonight we're talking about letting go. And for those of you listening, let us know what you think letting go means. Okay, Leslie.
That was one of our listeners wrote in and asked us to cover that topic of letting go. So thank you, Robin Cower, for suggesting that subject.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's actually a really, really good subject, especially at this time.
Well, maybe we should start by talking about what might you want to let go of. It could be, many different things, couldn't there? You might want to let go of the past. You might want to let go of your fear. You might want to let go of something that's blocking you from developing your intuition and your psychic abilities, blocking you from manifesting, some limiting beliefs, some programming that you're operating from that's also limiting you. You might want to let go of disturbances on a physical, mental, emotional, or even spiritual level. And apart from those things, you might be in the process of letting go of an old relationship, an old job, an old career, saying goodbye to some loved ones who have passed away, or a pet that's deceased. You might be saying goodbye to your old home and your old house. You might be saying goodbye to a country that you've lived in. We could go on and on and on. There's so many examples in life of things that we let go of, or things that we come to let go of. I'm sure we can think of some others. Letting go of doing too much, letting go of being too busy, letting go of having really scattered, unfocused energy, letting go of feeling out of control, letting go of abusive relationships, letting go of just like so many things that you're holding on to from the past. So I'd love it if the people who are listening live could post in our chat room some things that they are either currently in the process of letting go of, or momentous things that they've been challenged to let go of in some point in their lives. And maybe even how they learned to be able to let go. In a way, every day we let go of stuff. All through the day we let go of stuff. We could get really physical. There's lots of physical letting go that we do as part of the processes in our body.
I was going, she's not going there, is she?
But also we let go of, we have blocks of time dedicated to different things, and then we let that focus go and we go on to the next.
Oh, yes, I have that one.
Yeah, and so, and when we talk about letting go, in a way we're talking about one of the main principles of life on planet Earth. Because if there is one thing that you can be certain of, and that is change. For something to change, there has to be a letting go. For something new to occur, there has to be a letting go of something old. The energy has to be transformed and changed from the old to the new. So there's a letting go involved in that. And in actual fact, I mean, one of the big major things that people are really want to do is be able to manifest. You can't manifest if you're not prepared to let go. Letting go is a part of manifestation. Because if you fill yourself up on what you want to have, what you want to have, and what you want to have, and you never evaluate that list of things that you're wanting to have and wanting to manifest, then you're not ever letting go of the things that are outdated, and your energy is tied up in these old desires. So we have to let go in order to create something new. And one of my favorite examples, which I think illustrates this quite well, is, it works well for women anyway, which is if you buy new clothes if you're a fashionista and you buy new clothes every season, and you just keep putting your clothes in your closet, if you never let go of your old clothes in your closet, then it's going to be really hard for you to be clear and see what you've got in there and put an outfit together for you to wear. Whereas if you let go of the old clothes, then you have a much clearer perspective on what it is that you have now. So it's a really good exercise, actually, for us to even meditate on what are all of the different dreams that we've had through our lives, and are they still current? Because what you wanted when you were 4 years old, you might still be hanging on to that somewhere in your energy field, and it might be tying up your energy in some way. Maybe it was a dream of a charming, handsome prince on a white horse that would whisk you away.
Oh, you got that.
So it's a good idea to meditate on that and see what's lurking around, what you've got your energy tied up in, so that you can let it go, so that you can make room for your new creations. And in actual fact, I think that there actually is an exercise like that in my new book, Intuition and Chakras. In fact, there's quite a lot written about the principle of letting go and manifestation, by the way, and all the different steps in how to do that. And there's a lot where we're talking about what you need to let go of if you want to develop your intuition. Because developing your intuition is a dual path. It's not just about developing your intuition, it's actually about healing yourself and letting go of what is blocking you.
I have some comments about letting go.
Great.
And Tina says, I'm working on letting go of limiting beliefs. I would appreciate any advice on doing this.
Perfect. Letting go of limiting beliefs. And I will give you some advice on doing that. And
okay. I also have Callie, who's got a couple of messages here as well.
yeah,
Callie's got a couple for you.
Sure.
Okay, Kelly says, to let go of my trauma, which I allowed to define me by, whoops, it's jumping around here. By learning faith, believing in opportunities and personal strength. And then she says, my name is Callie, and Callie destroys egos. I ordered to save the space for light.
Aha.
And
Cool.
and Christine says, perfect pictures.
Yeah, good.
Also, Callie says, also letting go isn't forgetting.
Letting go isn't forgetting, no. There's always a record of everything that ever was. Thank you, Chris, because that's one I forgot to mention, isn't it? Perfect pictures. So yeah. Chris has taken some of my courses, and she's taken my Unlock Your Intuition course, and one of the modules we talk about this thing called perfect pictures. And what that is expectations. Whenever we have an expectation of something, it doesn't really do us any favors, because the flip side of having an expectation is unworthiness. You know, we have an expectation, we don't meet that expectation, we feel unworthy. We expect something of somebody else, they don't meet that expectation, we invalidate them. So perfect pictures are very limiting as well, because it's sort of like saying, well, I want a new relationship and the person has to be blonde and 6 foot tall with blue eyes. Well, there might be a wonderful redhead with green eyes, but if your expectation is the blonde with blue eyes, you are not leaving room for the universe to deliver the best match for you. So letting go of expectations is a really, really important one. So thank you for that, Chris. And letting go of trauma. Which Kaylee was saying, because if you have experienced trauma in your life, and if you've experienced trauma really, really young, when you were really, really young, that informs your whole reality. That can fill your body full of fear. It can fill you full of low self-esteem and unworthiness. That mantle of energy becomes the field of energy that you create the rest of your life through. So you create through fear and pain and unworthiness. And so until you clear that trauma, it's like a lead weight around your neck, really. It stops you from fully being yourself. And it stops you from fulfilling your true purpose and being authentic in the world. And lots of people have trauma in their lives and in their early childhood. There probably isn't a human being who doesn't. So learning to let go of trauma is something that's common for most of us, really. Hi, Corey.
Hi. Letting go, like I liked your analogy of the closet, buying clothes and having to getting rid of some when you bring in some new ones. So it's like the old glass half full, half empty thing in one sense. You can't fill a full glass any more than it is, or release it. So you have to let go of one thing in order to let something else come in to replace it. And I think when we look at living in the present, people, the new mantra is live in the present, right? Don't live in the past and don't live in the future. But living in the present, in order to live in the present, you have to let go of a lot. You basically have to let go of almost everything that you are, that made you up, and also letting go of for the future, you're letting go of all those wannabes and wants and desires and things that just fill your day with, I want to go this, I want to do that, I want to be this, I want to do that, so that whole thing, living in the present, can really help you synchronize the letting go, and vice versa.
Yeah. If you truly in the present moment, you're right, you've let go of a lot, because you've let go of everything in the past, you've let go of your story, and you've let go of future time projections as well.
Yeah. I was reading, I've forgotten his name, you know his name, the Vietnamese monk.
Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah, and he was talking about focus, right? And he and I brought this up before on the show. What really got me was eating. He says, no matter what you're doing, do that thing, but do that thing for the purpose of doing that thing. So he says, if you're doing the dishes, do the dishes. Don't do the dishes so you can get out of there to watch a hockey game or something. Do the dishes for doing the dishes. He says, and eating is a prime example. When you eat, you take a bite, you put your fork down, or hold your fork if you want, and then chew and focus on what you're doing in your mouth, the chewing. And he says, most people, what they do is they take a bite And the next thing they're doing is they're going down for another bite. So they're focusing on the picking up as opposed to on the eating. And I did that for a while. Every bite became a meditation in essence, and went through. And the food was incredible. Like the food had a completely different taste. It was amazing. So, and so letting go of rushing through a meal, letting go of feeling that you have to get that next bite in is difficult. It is a meditation. And Mandy says, I struggle with meditation. Any suggestions to help?
Thanks for that, Mandy. So yes, I'm going to answer that question. So we've got two questions pending. One is Tina about letting go of limiting beliefs, and one is Mandy around struggling with meditation. So I am going to talk a bit more detail about meditation. The way that I would personally let go of limiting beliefs is through meditation. And there are lots of different methods for doing it. One of the simplest is available as a free download from my website and is also in my book. And it's called Grounding. And in fact, this book is including for the readers a free online course that teaches energy techniques that are really, really good for letting go. And the first of those techniques is called grounding. And grounding is an energy technique where you create a flow of energy from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth. And you basically throw away anything that you don't want anymore down that energy cord. So that's one technique. And you can find that, Tina, like I said, in my book, the whole third section of the book, and there are 5 chapters, and each one introduces a different energy technique, and they're all useful for letting go. The one called grounding that I just described, one called centering that helps you be neutral. And why is that important for letting go? Well, a lot of people get attached to their creations. And while it's easy for them to create something, it's a lot harder for them to let go. So if you can be neutral about your life creations, then it becomes easier to let it go. And then there is a specific technique called creating and destroying, which is specifically about letting go, using mental image pictures and putting energy in them and then exploding them or releasing them. And then there's running earth and cosmic energy, another couple of techniques in the book, which help you to flush out your system, basically. So I hope that gives you a few ideas, Tina. So you can go to the website and go to the free tab on the website and find the free meditation that will teach grounding and centering. And then if you like it and you want more, a really inexpensive way is through the book, Intuition and Chakras. How are we doing on time? Yes. So listeners, you've been tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and it is time to take a break.
Yes, it is. And we'll be back very shortly. Okay. And we're back.
Welcome back, listeners, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and we're all about metaphysics, spirituality, and developing your intuition. And on one of our listeners' requests, tonight we're talking about letting go. And so we just had answered a question about letting go of limiting beliefs for Tina. And she's mentioned that she actually did buy my book and she's on section 2. So when you get to section 3, Tina, that's when there's all those energy techniques. And that's when you can then get access to that free course that I mentioned. So you're almost there.
So we have a couple more comments here.
Sure.
Okay, and Callie says, in martial arts training, my master would always tell us, focus mind, focus body, focus spirit. It struck me as such a transcendental experience when I actually learned what he meant as an adult, The spirit and body are separate, which is why we are able to hand chop blocks and endure years of sparring without being ever really injured.
Yeah, and what he means by focused mind and body and spirit actually is be in the present moment.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the present moment, you're with your body. So your energy is with your body, and then you are in a very powerful position. In physical reality, you can create anything. Spirit is body and spirit are different. She's right. Spirit can be anytime, any place, anywhere, past, present, future, in a different location than the body is. But if you focus spirit within the body through grounding and through centering and through being in present time, then you have one very powerful being in physical reality who can consciously create a spirit then through that body. All right, so I want to get to Mandy's question about meditation. Now, you didn't say what's happening when you're approaching meditation, Mandy. You just said that you're having trouble meditating. And in some senses, so you're having trouble letting go of something that's preventing you from meditating. And meditating is a really great way, actually, for doing what we're talking about today, which is letting go. So I guess I'll have to take a look at you, because all you said was I'm having trouble meditating. And I wonder what meditation techniques you're using as well, because that's the other thing. There's so many different ways of meditating, and different ones work for different people. To me, it looks like...
She says, I can't get my mind to quiet.
I was just about to say that. To me, it looks like your issue is about your monkey mind. Okay, so if you download that free meditation that I was telling Tina about, if you go to drlesliephillips.com and download the free meditation, it's got two techniques. One's called grounding and one's called centering. And I'll just say both of those again, they're in my book. So that's the other option. And
Tina does say, I've been doing the grounding meditation, but without the intention of letting go of my limiting beliefs. And she says, thank you so very much for that suggestion.
Yeah. And then for Mandy, grounding can help you to release your unruly thoughts. And centering is a way of placing your consciousness so you are not in the part of your mind that does the thinking. You're placing your consciousness more in the more ancient part of your brain, in the center of your head. And that is the place where spirit can reside within the body. And if you place your consciousness there, you become the neutral observer of your thinking mind. You separate yourself from your thinking mind. And from there, you can start by just observing them, but not being taken away with them. And eventually you can train yourself not to have them anymore. So I recommend get started with grounding and centering as meditation techniques that will really help you quiet your mind. And of course, that's important for developing your psychic abilities. If you can't quiet your mind, then you're constantly tied up in that jumble of thoughts and not leaving yourself in that place of silence and mindfulness where you can connect with the messages of spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of my training to develop your psychic abilities is quiet your mind.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong. Meditation is the actual art, or the actual practice of meditation is to be able to focus on the quiet. But when a thought comes, to allow the thought to come and just to allow it to go. You don't beat yourself up because you have a thought or your mind, you're having problems quieting your mind. That's all part of the process. It takes time to learn that sometimes, and sometimes it comes instantly.
And you're retraining yourself to operate consciously as spirit in the body instead of for the body's consciousness to be dominant. So most of us, our body consciousness is dominant. So our thinking brain, our emotions, things like the sex drive, things that the body wants, the ego, are the things that are dominating. They all belong to the body. And what meditation does, or at least the form of meditation I teach, and which is necessary to develop your intuition, it has you now retraining yourself to operate consciously as spirit through the physical body. So rather than the body being the one that takes the lead with its animal nature, you, the spiritual being, are the one who is in charge of your reality.
What I like about the your grounding meditation, Dr. Leslie, it's you're not going into nothingness. You're not trying to get complete nothing. You're actually focusing on something, and you have a focus. There's something there that you're looking at, and that is the grounding. The core to ground, right? And so you're quietening your mind, but you're not trying to eliminate all thought from your mind.
Well,
It's not thought's the wrong word, though.
Anytime you have a thought, anytime you think something, that is your body, that is your brain.
Yeah.
So you're learning to operate. So operating consciously as spirit, so you could you could be thinking, I'm grounding, and that's a thought.
Yeah.
Or as spirit, you could be in this pure intent of creating this grounding cord and visualizing and seeing that it is.
Yeah.
And that's operating consciously as spirit. And I would say all my meditation techniques that I teach, they are, as Corey was describing, that we could call them rather energy techniques. In fact, that's what my publisher called them, how to increase your psychic development through energy. They are ways of working with energy, ways of focusing your consciousness and working with energy.
But by the way, just so that just to talk about the book for 1 second, Dr. Leslie isn't bringing her book up to sell the book. It's just that the book is such a great tool. I know that she's been wanting to write this book for a long time as a manual to help people open up to their intuition. It just wants to get it out there with people. So let me go to Shalonda Lynn, letting go of fear to allow what's to come. Like your chapter in the book, fear and adversity are part of the human experience, not our human design. Did you write that? That's good, Dr. Leslie.
It's funny, I've written 2 books so far in my life, actually, and a bunch of other like ebooks, but you go back and read them again, and it is like somebody else wrote them sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Tina says, I'm in section 2 of the book right now. Thank you so much for the other suggestions. And Janice Carter, your book arrived today with a big heart beside that. Yay. Mandy Thomas says, I can't get my mind to quiet, which we just talked about. And Mandy said, I ordered your book. It'll be here Thursday.
That's fantastic. Thank you all so much.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So, I mean, tonight we're talking about letting go. And like I said, for those of you who have bought the book, there's a whole chapter on creating and destroying in the last section of the book, which really teaches you about letting go. But I think there are also some exercises through there where you are, through the whole book, where you're thinking about what you're wanting and what you're wanting to create and what you're holding on to that's holding you back. So letting go is a fantastic subject, actually. So again, I thank Robin for suggesting it. And it underpins everything in our lives. Every moment of our lives, we are creating and letting go. If you think about it, you are, you're breathing in and then you're exhaling, you're letting go. Your heart is pumping the blood and then, releasing it. And not only that, on a metaphysical level, we are every fraction of a moment actually recreating ourselves. So we're flicking on and off very rapidly. So creating and destroying underpins every moment of our existence. And then, you know, human beings, if we are resisting letting go, we are resisting our natural state of being. If we are resisting letting go, we are preventing the energy from fully flowing. We are preventing ourselves from fully creating, from fully being who we came here to be. And so, yeah, it's a really great subject. So any other thoughts from the listeners about what it is that you would like to let go of?
Well, Tina says the Chakra and Intuition book has been so incredible and helpful to me already.
I'm so glad.
Yes,
That's wonderful.
me too.
By the way, for those of you who, actually not even for those of you who've purchased the book, that I am running a competition at the moment. And it is that you can win a psychic blueprint session with me.
Oh, I want that.
As part of the book launch, because we've not been able to do any book signings, we're not been able to go out and about because of the COVID. I just created a competition for people to enter, where they could win a psychic blueprint. Because one of the things that the book does is it takes you through exercises to figure out your own psychic blueprint. You know, which of these psychic abilities are the ones that are part of your unique profile of psychic abilities, and you know, what challenges have you been through in your life that actually are signs of a particular chakra opening or a particular ability opening. And so I have a consultation that I do with people where I create a chart and we go through your chart together. But the book is actually helping you do a version of that for yourself. But anyway, a great accompaniment to the book is to get your psychic ability blueprint done. And there's a competition, which I'll make sure that Corey's got the link that he can post on the bottom of the podcast to steer people in that direction.
I shall do that.
Yeah. So what have you been letting go of today, Corey? Anything of note?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if everybody's realized it, but I've been retired now for a little bit, and my big challenge is being retired, and realizing that in being retired, I don't have the time restraints that I had, and had to make commitments and things like that. And it's taken me a long time to realize that I don't have to worry about doing one thing and not another, because I can do them both, but just do one or the other at one time, and choose the one, and have the ability to choose which of the 2 or 3 things I do, and not have to worry about those other 2 things, unless it's a time commitment to a person, or or something like that. But I'm talking like chores and things. And we're doing renos on the house, so I'm all, got to get these done, but I realize I don't have to get them done. I can take my time and just relax about it. And so relaxation, I guess, is my learning to relax in my own being.
Yeah, letting go of stress and anxiety and old patterns of behavior and needing to do everything in a certain time frame.
Yeah. It sounds it sounds easy, but excuse me, someone's at the door. I have to go.
Okay. Well, listeners, you have been tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and it seems to me that this is a really good time for a break. So we're just going to take a few moments and we will be back shortly. Because, of course, those of you who are watching the live stream on Facebook, we're actually doing this as a pre-recording for the radio show. So the radio show airs every Tuesday at 7. But when you're in the Facebook group, you are getting a 1-week preview of the radio show, which is really great. And you get the opportunity to suggest what you would like us to talk about on the show. And tonight's topic is something that one of you suggested. So while we wait for Corey to come back, oh, he's back. We're on a break. We're on a break. Corey.
We're on a break, are we?
Yeah, so we're going to start section 3 in a moment, but I was just going to ask for the open up to the listeners that if they want to make more comments about letting go, or even if you're feeling blocked in some capacity at letting go of something, then feel free to post about it. And I'd be happy to answer that as a question in tonight's show.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back.
Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Unlocking Your Truth is a show about metaphysics and spirituality, and we love to talk about everything under that umbrella. Tonight, the topic is letting go. And we've been saying how the process of letting go is something that really underpins everything in our reality. In every moment, we are letting go and we are creating anew. And sometimes as humans, we get blocked and we become resistant and we resist letting go of things, whether it's resisting exercise. We didn't talk about that, did we? That's another one, isn't it? Resisting exercise.
Resisting exercise, okay.
Or resisting tackling a problem. You've got something that you want to have to talk to somebody about, something maybe in a relationship that's not working. And, you're resisting having that conversation with that person, for example. Or, you've got extra weight and you put on some extra weight and you'd like to let go of it. And then you put off whatever it is that you need to do in order to let go of it. There's so many things, practical things, everyday things, and then things that just relate to our spiritual awakening, our evolvement, our enlightenment. I mean, actually, if we take the letting go, while we're waiting for people to post questions, if we take the letting go now on a planetary scale, we are in a big beyond a moment of letting go, aren't we? Because we're in this period of rapid change on the planet. If there's change, there's letting go and there's creating the new. So we are letting go of, actually what we're letting go of is old energy, low vibrations, old energy, old way of looking at things, old way of doing things, old resistances, and actually old patriarchal ways, or ways where there are certain structures on the planet that have been kind of controlling the way things go for us. And we are having the opportunity right now, as more of us wake up and more of us have time to think and observe what's working in our world, we're in the process of letting go of many things. If you think about it, COVID has given us a chance to look at the healthcare system. Well, what's working in the healthcare system and what isn't? Let's let go of what isn't working. It's given us a chance to look at the environment. What is it that humans have been doing that isn't working for the environment? Because now that we are all resting at home, nature is recovering. So what have we been doing that hasn't been working? Let's let that go. Looks like Corey has something he would.
Yeah, I just, before I was pulled away, I was talking about letting go. But, I find what's very interesting is that, I want to talk about doing the renovations again. If I run into a challenge, it's quite interesting. If I try to forcefully fix that problem in the house that I'm trying to repair, it's like hitting my head against the wall. But what I do is I just let it go. And at night I go to sleep. Like sometimes I lay there thinking about it at night, but I'll go to sleep. And in the morning I wake up and I actually have solutions that come to me overnight. By letting go, solutions come.
It's very, it's basically getting out of my own way.
That's a really good one. Like letting go of your mind's dominance, needing to control what the solution is, and actually
Yeah.
opening up to your intuition,
Yeah.
which
I have
is
some.
free to
Sorry.
flow when you are asleep.
Yeah, I have some more comments for you here.
Great.
Okay, I got one from Tammy. Tammy says, "Is there a specific chakra that can help me clear past life trauma healing?"
That's a good question. And, I'm going to sort of say no and yes, maybe. So
Clears it up.
So you can have past life energy and information in any of your chakras. And so it can come up anywhere in your system. So it really depends. You specifically on your journey where you're at right now, there could be a specific chakra involved. We'd have to look at that and look at what the specifics of it. But as a general answer, past life information can come up anywhere in your energy field, anywhere in any chakra. There is a thing called the past life aura. And so sometimes when I'm working with somebody on their past lives, and if a past life energy and information is somehow interfering and not appropriate to be there, we move it into the past life aura. So that's a sort of repository, kind of like the Akashic record or repository of all of your past lives and past life information. And that is separate from the aura or energy field that is surrounding you in the current incarnation. But is there a specific chakra that you should work with as a general thing? No, but as a specific thing, let's make something up. Let's say that you, in a past life, were an amazing, your job was being a psychic, being a seer. You were, at the Oracle of Delphi or something, and people came to you to have themselves read and to give predictions. And then let's say a powerful person came and didn't like what you said. And then they had you put to death, right? So you could have that based in your sixth chakra because it's relating to the use of your sixth chakra as a seer. So every time you come to want to develop your intuition, you hit that energy of that past life and are afraid to do so because in that past life, you died as a result. So it can show up in specific chakras, but we could have made an example up for any chakra we want at all, really. Hope that makes sense, but thank you for that question. I've never had that question before. It's a good one.
The next question that we got from Christine. Christine says, "Did you talk about letting go of fear in general?"
At the very beginning, I sort of brushed over it. So we did a big list at the beginning saying, what kinds of things might you want to let go of? And fear was one of them. But fear is a big one, actually. Fear is a big one. And, fear is the opposite of who we are. So in order to be who we are, we have to let go of fear. And fear is an energy that blocks and stops. Fear is like ice. It's solid. It's not moving. The energy is not moving when there's fear. So it is really, it's one of the major experiences that we all have, being afraid of things. But it's also the biggest block and the lowest vibration that we can encounter. Part of the human experience, and it's the opposite of love, and ultimately we are love. So, I mean, gosh, if I had to think of a list of things we could be afraid of, there's so many of them. In my Unlock Your Intuition course, there's a whole module on fear, and that's just fear of developing your intuition. People will think I'm crazy. What if I see something scary? What if I can't do it right? What if I'm wrong? What if I see something about somebody else? Do I have to say it to them? What if they don't like it? What if I lose my friends and family because I've changed? you know, on and on and on and on and on. And that's just one subject. And we could probably pick any subject. We've got your job at work, fear of saying the wrong thing in a meeting, fear of what your boss thinks of you, fear of losing your job, fear of not being good enough, your relationship, fear your partner is cheating on you, fear you've chosen the wrong person, fear it's not going to work out. We could choose anything, couldn't we? And there can be so much fear associated with it. But whenever there's fear, there's stuck energy, and it really never really does us any good at all. So yeah, letting go of fear is a crucial step on our evolvement, really, and our awakening. So thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, fear is a big one, and you know, like, oh, what's her name now? The author, one of my favorite authors, and her name just went right out of my head. Says, if you fear something, just, you know, go through it. You know, like it's.
Susan Jeffries.
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Yeah.
And she's dead. She's not alive anymore, Susan Jeffries.
No, she's not.
For a long time.
I did not know that. That's interesting. We'll have to talk about that after.
You know how I know that? Because I wanted to quote her either in my book or a course I was designing. And I wrote to her and asked to quote, because I think it was, no, I think it must have been in one of my courses, because I think it was an excerpt. And I asked permission, and her husband wrote back to me and said, well, she's actually not alive anymore, but I give you my permission.
Wow. That's interesting. I did not know that. Yeah. Anyway, Nicole, how do you open your third? Callie says, I have that problem with weight. I hold on to it because it's a safety net.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Nicole?
Yeah, Nicole says, how do you open your third eye chakra? Chakra, good meditation to listen to.
So, and I'm assuming you're saying, how do I open my third eye chakra? Because that's meaning, how do I access my clairvoyance? Because the third eye, the sixth chakra, is the center of your clairvoyance. And the answer is, I've already told you the answer, which is the centering meditation. Seat your consciousness in the center of your head, which is where your third eye is, and that stimulates and activates your clairvoyance. And so there's that free meditation on my website, and it's also in the book, Intuition and Chakras, how to cultivate and activate your clairvoyance, which is an aspect of the third eye. How
convenient that it's in your book.
Yeah, well, it is about being psychic and chakras, so.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, a lot of this information used to be such secret knowledge. You know, I know my spiritual teacher, I remember her saying, you know, grounding is the first thing we teach anybody. And she said, you know, the Buddhists learn this, but in 7 years, after you've been a Buddhist monk for 7 years, you can learn how to ground. So this information it's from the ancient mystery schools, and it didn't used to be available to everybody. But now, given where we're at on the planet and how many people are awakening, it is now being made available to everybody. One of the places you can get it is my book. And
wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Kelly just made a note, binaural beats. I'm not sure if that was a meditation or not. And Nicole says, thank you.
I think it's a kind of meditation that helps you to
yeah, she talks about it.
Balance the brain.
Yeah, there's alpha, beta, delta waves. Normally I prefer delta waves. Thank you. Lux says, thanks, Leslie Phillips. I love From Insight and Intuition, Paul. Okay, Shalonda, I agree. Years ago, an art teacher told me not to worry over creative imperfections because in the grand scheme, it is the artist's translation, expression. We can change our path, thoughts, ideas as we go. All our moments are among our journey. I love this topic. Actually, I was listening to an actor today who was also, he's subbing in as a part-time teacher online for kids, and he's an actor, but he played football. But before he played football, he was an art major, and it is his passion. And one of the things he teaches his class, he says, very interesting. He says he'll go into a classroom to teach, and there'll be 30 kids in the classroom, and he says, okay, now take out your pads and your pencils and draw. And nobody does it because everybody's afraid to be wrong or to be the first one to do it, to allow the freedom of expression to come out. Very interesting. Very interesting.
That's a shame, isn't it?
It is, but aren't we all like that? I mean, when you do a workshop, Dr. Leslie, and you ask a question, not often people jump up to put their hands up to answer your question.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess in a workshop, I would say a workshop is something that might be an introductory thing, the first thing somebody's done with me or
Yeah.
met a group. In my courses, it's the opposite, because you have people who are really comfortable with each other and they've got to know each other.
Yep, there's a little anonymity in there too, because you're separate physically, right? Because it's like this drawing thing. If I was drawing here now and you weren't seeing my drawing, I could draw anything I wanted to and I wouldn't be, but if you were going to critique it, if we're in there and you're looking at me draw, it's like, it's like when I do almost anything, I like to focus on it. Or I think a lot of people looking over your shoulder. It's not because this person's looking over your shoulder. It's because the person's looking over your shoulder and you feel like they're judging whatever you're doing.
So we are all unique. We are all completely unique individuals. We are unique aspects of divine consciousness, here to express that unique aspect of divine consciousness. So no single one of us perceives the world in the same way, or creates in the same way, or even wants to create the same thing in the same way. And that's where our education system doesn't really do us any favors, because it really limits us and forces us into a narrow box most of the time.
True.
But it's such a shame, because drawing is, gosh, that's one of the ways that people in general do still have as a permission for freely expressing themselves. But I guess that's the difference between if you're a trained artist or a trained musician. You learn the rules of doing something, and oftentimes the ones who get to be the best and most innovative are the ones who aren't trained classically or in those systems. Well, I am getting the time up signal, and so listeners, you've been listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey, and tonight we were talking about letting go and how important it is to let go. Just as important as manifesting and creating is letting go.
True.
We'll be back next Tuesday
week
at 7 o'clock.
Thank you all.